Irene, when did Noel Foran come into your life?
My mum met him when I was a baby, so like under one.
Do you always remember him?
Yeah, well, I was always told he was my dad. There was never a...
Never a question?
No.
And what about your actual dad? Did you have any connection or communication with him?
No, I only found out at 16 that Noel wasn't my dad when I left home.
Okay. So what was he like as a dad?
Kind of worked every day. Like he worked on building sites and stuff. So he'd go out for the day and come home in the evening and have dinner. Like, don't ever remember him playing or being fatherly like that, but was like, brings the money in and like the man of the house and would give out if the place was messy and you weren't allowed to put your feet in the furniture. That like very like...
He was strict.
Oh, very strict, yeah. Like if you put your feet in the furniture, take them down, you look like a slob. You know, it was, you're in the shower too long, get out. It was very...
He was rough, kind of?
His presence was just very powerful in the house. You know, you just wouldn't cross him. Like.
Okay.
Yeah.
And was he ever kind or encouraging to you?
Sometimes my mom could be the harsh one. And I would say, oh, this happens when you're at work or whatever. And he'd maybe say, oh, you could have gone a bit easier there or whatever. Sometimes he would be the lesser of two evils, but most of the time, no. And
of course, you know no different. This is your home.
Yeah.
This is your parents or whatever. And this is how you're treated.
But it was always very much, this is my house. Like, I allow you to live here. I pay for your dinner. I pay for your clothes. Like, it was like, looking back now, it's crazy, but it was very much be grateful. Like, I allow you to be here. Like, I provide for you. Like,
okay. So, bringing us up to New Year's Eve when you were 11 years of age.
Yeah.
And this is really when this story that we're going to discuss blows up, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So you're in bed.
Yeah. So I went to bed about 8-ish, between 8 and 9, I'd say. It was New Year's Eve. I remember my mum was going to a party in a house on the road. They were having a row downstairs because he wasn't invited and he wasn't happy that she was going out without him, basically. And there was a row. And I was going to listen in from bed. My door was wide open. And then she left and I was trying to go to sleep. It took me ages. And I remember hearing him come in and kind of closing my eyes real tight to kind of not get into trouble, you know, to be asleep. And then I remember the noise of his belt hitting the floor. He must have been in line with me because it was right beside my ear. And it was as if, and I knew then that he was taking his clothes off. And I just kind of still pretended to be asleep. But I remember feeling the panic, you know, and then the weight of him at the end of my bed. So he had taken my pajamas off and I could feel him. I assume he was kneeling. My eyes were closed, but I assume he was kneeling at the end. And I just remember, I didn't know what was happening and I was just trying to pretend to be asleep. But then he put his hands together and went up my legs and was trying to like wedge my legs apart. And I just squeezed my legs together and he repeatedly did that and then gave up and left and then would come back.
Oh God.
And did that for the entire night and only stopped when I heard my mom come home. That just was repeated. Like, I don't know how often. It was at least 4 times.
But this was going on for hours. I mean, it's New Year's Eve. Let's presume your mum doesn't come home till after midnight.
No, it was like 4 or later. My mum came home 4 or 5.
Oh my God.
And it was constant. It was every time. But I didn't know what was happening. I was just really scared. Like, I was really, really scared. And
did he speak? Did he try? Did he tiptoe in? Did he try not to wake you?
No, I just remember the belt. Like, I could hear him breathing coming in. Like, you know, when someone comes into your room, you know. But he just kept coming. And I held my legs together every time. I did the same thing every time. Looking back now, he was obviously waiting for me to fall asleep.
Yeah.
But I didn't. But I always wondered, why did I hold my legs together? As an adult now, when I look back, I wonder that because when it happened...
To know to do that.
Yeah. When it happened, obviously, I was a small child. I was putting it through my head. I was trying to understand what had happened. And I didn't know really what had happened. I just knew that it really scared me and I didn't like it. Then I remember thinking I was pregnant. but not knowing how you got pregnant.
Yeah.
But I think I knew when he took his clothes off, then I was like, oh my God, pregnant. But I didn't know how you got pregnant, but that did come into my head. And then I did the Stay Safe program in school, coincidentally, a few weeks after it happened. And I remember them saying, like, tell someone, like a trusted adult, tell someone. So I told my mum. I went home that day and I told her what had happened. And my mum burst out crying. I was obviously crying. And she asked me what to do.
She asked you what to do, and you're 11. Okay.
And I remember at the time, I as clear as day, remember thinking, you're on your own.
Yeah.
Because he's after doing that.
Uh-huh.
And the other person in the house that's supposed to protect me doesn't know what to do.
Isn't
being the parent. And I'm on my own. Like, and I remember the realization I was on my own.
And that night, just to bring you back a little bit, when you heard your mum come in the door, it must have been a huge relief.
Yeah.
You knew that this was, like, I mean, your heart must have been pounding out of your chest for the night. So, and the next day, when you all get up and whatever, you gather at the breakfast table or don't, or pass one another in the kitchen, how is he behaving?
Normal.
Totally. And how are you feeling?
Confused.
Yeah.
Just so
and scared?
Confused. Yeah, just lost. I was lost. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know why it was happening. I didn't know what to do. I was just totally lost.
And like over that time, that week before you did that Stay Safe program in the school and you told your mum, were you swinging between scenarios in your head about what had happened, that
no,
it was this or wasn't this? Were you absolutely sure this was really bad?
Oh, I knew it was really bad. I think the removing of clothes parts for me,
that belt hit
was, oh my God, like that was monumental. Like for an adult, any adults, to take their clothes off and their bottom half off in front of a child, like, was monumental. Never mind him getting on top of him, touching me, like, not even just that bit. It was oh my God, he took his trousers off. You know, as a little girl, if a man takes their trousers off, you'd be terrified. Like, it's...
Yeah. And it was with you whenever you woke up and when you were going to sleep all that week.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah. So you tell your mum and she asks you what?
What do we do?
What do we do?
I think she said, will we ring Childline? And I actually remember just looking at her going, oh my God, like, you're on your own. Like, she's not going to help you. Like.
And when he came back that night from work or wherever he had been, was she behaving normally to him?
All normal. And then everything was normal. And it was about 6 weeks later, and she pulled me aside and said, look, I've spoken to him. I got him drunk and he admitted to it. And he's very sorry. And he won't do it again. Life back to normal.
Right.
That was it.
Okay.
Never mentioned it again.
Your life wasn't back to normal?
No, like as in the family life, everything just went back to...
absolute
standard, yeah.
But for you then, what was it like?
I was counting down to when I could leave. And I'd kind of in my head, you know, you get like little pieces of information when you're that age and you don't really understand where it comes from. But in my head, I had, when you're 16, you're allowed to leave. If you're under 16, they'll pull you back. But when you're 16, you can go. I was counting to 16.
And did you tell anybody else?
No.
No friends or?
I think I told maybe a girl in primary school or something. I wanted to tell my granddad. And I remember my little brain, because I'm so close to my granddad, and I remember my brain thinking, and I was right, like at 11, it was very clever. If I tell my granddad, he will kill him. And my granddad will go to Mountjoy.
That was very clever.
That was my brain,
wasn't it?
You will lose your granddad. And like, I'd rather die than lose my granddad. So it was, no, he will kill him and you will lose your granddad.
Your granddad was that protector then that you had hoped your mother would be when you told her this. So what happens next?
I leave at 16. They go around the house and I kind of vomit everything I've been feeling for the 5 years since it happened.
To both of them or just to your mother?
And she realizes, like, I think she realized how powerful I was and what I had. So she kind of didn't fight me on leaving. My poor nana had just passed away and I went to my granddad's and she told everyone that my granddad was alone. So I'd gone to live with him And everyone knew how close I was with my granddad. So that made sense. So there was no questions asked. Like, it was, Irene's gone to live with her granddad. Everyone was like, of course she is. She's so close to them. And he's alone now. And no questions were raised. It was like my school didn't even know I'd moved. Like, it was just, I just moved.
And did you tell your granddad?
At 16 when I left.
You told him what had happened?
When I arrived, I was in such a state. I don't think I had a choice other than to say, this is what's been happening for the last 5 years, you know?
And had it happened again?
No, but like, just, I mean, the life I've been living, like the house I've been living in, like my granddad used to take me most weekends, and every Sunday night he'd drive me back and he'd say, is everything okay? I'm like, yeah. You know, you can always tell me anything. Like, yeah. And I wouldn't say anything. So I think he knew that I wasn't happy.
You weren't happy, yeah.
He didn't know about the abuse, but I think he knew that I really wasn't happy there. Like, he used to drop me home, and this is awful now when I think about it, it's so sad, but he'd drop me home and then I'd look out the window upstairs and I'd be crying my eyes out, and I'd hope he'd look up.
Yeah.
And he'd come back and get me. But I never asked him to get me. I don't know.
Well, as you say, I suppose it was in your head that up until the age of 16, you could have been forced back, and you were afraid of how your granddad would react towards him and what could happen and the losses. And they were probably, I mean, they were mature, legitimate concerns when you think about it.
Yeah.
We're two adult women here now sitting, and we can realise that, if you as a child told somebody this is happening to me, you know, a protective man or woman could go and head straight for physical violence. Yeah. You know, it'd be hard not to when you hear that.
And I just wasn't worth the risk. Like, I wasn't going to risk my granddad.
So after that, you settled down with your granddad. You started working and...
Met my husband at 17.
Your now husband, Barry.
Yeah. Met him in Bewley's. Yeah, we were working in Bewley's through school.
And you've had a really good relation. And that was somewhere you found safety and security, obviously.
Yeah, 100%. It was hard though, because my brother and sister were still there.
Yeah.
And I remember worrying, like really, like crying. My auntie, she said I was crying in my sleep because I felt so bad. I'd left them. I'd got out.
Yeah.
But I'd left them.
And you were afraid of what was happening there?
Just because the house was so unhappy and they were just cruel and mean, and it wasn't a nice place to grow up. And then, but someone, I don't know who it was, but someone professional told me that the risk of him abusing them would be very low because they're his children.
Okay.
And I wasn't. So in my mind, and he doted on my sister especially, and he was very close to my brother. So I thought it was just me. Like, I wasn't his. He treated me totally differently because I wasn't his child.
And we should have gone into that. Was it at this point when you leave the house and you go to live with your granddad that you discovered that he's not actually your dad?
Yeah. My granddad told me.
He told you?
I was in such a state. I was self-harming. I was just in a really bad way. And my granddad said, it's because of him, is it? And I said, oh, it doesn't matter. I don't know what. I kind of brushed it off. And my granddad said, but he has nothing to do with you. Like, would it help if he wasn't your dad? And I got really annoyed. I'm like, well, why would you say something like that? Like, it's a stupid thing to say. And he was like, he has nothing to do with you. He's not your dad. He never was your. And he told me.
And did it help?
No, I got really angry then because
you'd been lied to.
I'd been lied to by my granddad and by my safe people. So that kind of spiraled me a bit as well.
Right. You're that age. Yeah.
Yeah, that was hard as well. Like, because everyone knew.
And after that initial anger that you'd been lied to about that, and maybe this is a silly question, but did it help that your father, that this was essentially somebody with no blood ties to you?
It helps in a tiny way.
In a tiny way.
Only in a tiny way, because he was my dad. Like, if I'd always known him as my stepdad, it would definitely help. But at the time when this was happening, he was my dad.
Yeah, exactly.
He was my blood dad, like to me. So it would have happened. It would have helped if I'd always known he wasn't my dad, but I didn't.
So Irene, you've clearly had a lot of counselling, which is why you're able to sit here and talk to me about all this. Did that start, that counselling, at this stage? And did that eventually lead you to make the complaint to the gardaí?
So what happened was I had a surgery, I had a gallbladder removal, and it went very wrong. And I had a bile leak, and I was in hospital for like 7 weeks. I was in agonising pain. I could have died. Like, I was very seriously ill at 34, and it scared the life out of me. I had a very small baby at home, my 2 other kids, and it just, like, to my core scared me because I was so young and I had my family. But when that happened, everything came. So my doctor was treating me for kind of trauma from the surgery going wrong. And of course it would have a massive effect being so seriously ill, and it was very mismanaged. So, but then she kept saying to me, there's something more. There's something more. She's a very good doctor, and she was able to kind of see. And eventually I said, well, actually, but it does, like, no, I've told people before, no one ever did anything. So it's not that big a deal. And she's like, sorry, hold on, we go back here a bit. And it was with her and speaking to her that she encouraged me to make a statement.
Right.
And kind of said that, she said one line that really kind of stuck to me. It was, if you don't do something, this is going to destroy you from the inside out. And I remember thinking, okay, that's going to affect my family, my kids, my marriage. And I'm not willing to let anything affect that. So it made me think of things differently. But like, when I made my statement, I'm going to be honest, when I went in and made my statement, I had no fuss. I went on my own, popped down to Raheny, went in and made my statement, came home and thought that was it. I made my statement because I wanted to make it, and to have gone and get my words down, and to have officially done it.
And your complaint was relating to that New Year's Eve, when you were 11 years old. And as far as you were concerned, that was the one and only time that this had happened.
Yeah.
There had been cruelty and meanness.
Yeah, but that was the only time of sexual abuse that I knew of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you made that statement.
Yeah. And I thought that would be it. And I was expecting that would be it. And then the DPP took the case. And I'm like, why? Why are they taking my case? They don't take cases. It's so hard. Everyone tells you. To me, mine's in the scope of what happens to people, one night I felt would be minor. So why would the DPP take it? I actually really didn't understand. I was very surprised when they took it. Maybe because it had been dumbed down so much over the years. Maybe I don't know, but I was very, very surprised when the DPP took the case.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he is questioned, arrested?
It was all kind of very slow. So I did my statement. He was questioned. He said no comment to everything in the initial statements. I just kept saying no comment. And then they gathered evidence. And so he was sent to the Granada Institute. So when I left, I have to go back to this, sorry.
This bit you didn't know about?
Not really. So when I left at 16, my mom had spoken to a GP, and she used to kind of speak about things for attention. It wasn't for action. It was feel sorry for me. That was the angle. But she had mentioned that something had happened with my stepdad and me. And this was before mandatory reporting, but the GP did report. I was gone. I was already in my granddad's. So the GP reported, guards got involved. I was told he was removed from the house, told he couldn't live in a house with children in it, sent to the Granada Institute, did a course. I was told it was a sex offenders course, and I was told he was assessed as low risk. At the end of it, that he returned home because he couldn't afford to rent a room and pay the mortgage. The guards never came back to see if he'd come back or if he was still gone, or he did his little course. Course was over. His life went back to normal.
And were your sister and brother still living in the house at that point?
Yeah.
So he was sent off basically to do a course in the Granada Institute, which is now shut down.
Yeah.
But it was a kind of a
sex offenders course.
Yeah, it was a kind of a place where sex offenders would go, and
but their risk
has it moved now?
No, it's closed.
It's just closed. Doesn't exist anymore. Because there is a school of thought that this is not curable at all.
But low risk is still risk.
Low risk is still risk.
And you don't put a paedophile back in a house with children in it. And you don't put a paedophile back in a house with children in it without speaking to the child that he abused. I was never spoken to.
You were never spoken to. So you were never contacted by them or whatever. But as the Gardaí investigated this, the DPP was taking the case, and they were sort of digging for as much evidence as
they could. So they took a statement from my auntie, because he had admitted it to my auntie on multiple occasions. They tried to do a statement to my granddad, but he was too old, so we couldn't do that. My mother, they did a statement for my mum, and she told my auntie that she was honest in her statement, because my auntie told her, if you're not honest, I will tell the guards you're lying in your statement. Or if you get up in court and lie, my auntie had said, I will tell them that you were lying. So you have to tell the truth. So I don't know whether she did. I never seen her statements, but her statement was taken. And then my guard, who was from Child Protection, went to the Granada Institute, or whoever used to run it, with a warrant. So she went to a judge, explained the situation. Judge granted a warrant. She got his files from the Granada Institute right before they were destroyed. They were about to be destroyed a year later or 6 months later or something.
Wow. And these files then are they like medical records? Because
they're like everything he did on the course.
Okay.
So like he would have been interviewed by different, I don't know, counsellors or psychologists or whatever. And they would have asked him about what abuse he has done and why he does it, or that type of thing. And he was honest, I assume. And he told them everything.
And this is really where this case becomes so unusual.
Yeah.
And, you know, despite the fact you're embroiled in it yourself, you will say that yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
It's such an unusual case.
Yeah.
Firstly, that they got those records.
I know, we're so lucky.
A, that they weren't destroyed, and B, that they were allowed them.
Just that the judge allowed it. So for my guard to get a warrant and to ask the judge was unheard of, I think. I don't think I've done that before for anyone. And for the judge to allow that was monumental. Like, I never would have found out if it wasn't for that judge and that warrant.
And at this point, you still don't find out what's in those files. You don't know the Gardaí.
The guards have everything, but they can't tell me anything.
They can't tell you anything because they're going to court.
Yeah.
And they don't want to in any way jeopardise what might happen in a court case if there was accusations levelled against them.
Well, the only thing they could tell me, and they did tell me, was that he was being charged with 10 counts of sexual assault on a minor. And when I asked my guard, I only had one guard, a female guard, what are the 10 counts? I didn't report 10 counts.
Yeah.
I can't tell you. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean you can't tell me? And I just couldn't understand. And she said, all I can say is they all pertain to you.
Right.
That was it.
So you're absolutely agog at this.
I have no idea what's happening.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking, okay, maybe he came in 10 times that New Year's Eve.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I would be thinking.
You know, not 4 times. Maybe it was 10 times. It still didn't make sense.
Yeah. But you're still focused. The only thing that makes sense to you is that this had happened to you once. And it was that New Year's Eve when you were 11. Mm-hmm. So you get to court and, okay, he tries to. Yeah, so he
pleads not guilty to all 10 counts. I got a call to say my trial will be in 2 years and 2 months. 2 years, 2 months. And that's it. You just have to wait. It's barbaric, but that's what I had to wait. Then I arrive in court, ready to go. He's waiting outside to stare me down. Just walk past him. In I go, ready for trial. Trial cancelled. He's gone to the High Court.
To have it thrown out?
To argue it. Yeah. And the judge, in fairness, was Patricia Ryan, and she's the president. And she couldn't understand. She's like, this is on the books 2 years and 2 months. Mm-hmm. If you were going to the High Court, why haven't you gone at any stage in the last 2 years, 2 months? But there's nothing she can do. So he goes to the High Court and he fails to appear for 6 months in a row. So every month they ask for more time. And then eventually, when 6 months pass, the High Court say either appear or go back to the criminal court. And he came back to the criminal court and then pled guilty.
He pled guilty to how many counts? 3. So, but you're still aware there was 10 there?
They take the other 7 into consideration. Still don't know what they are, though.
So what do you discover at this point?
Yeah, so when we actually get to probably a sentencing hearing, I think probably would have been called.
Yeah.
They clear the room because I was a minor, so it's in camera, so everyone is cleared. And they start going through the case, and I hear that in the files he'd admitted to 7 years. Age 6 to age 13. I'm trying to think of the correct words now. Mostly while asleep. on the outside of clothes and inside of clothes while masturbating. That's a quote.
He
that was
had
the
been
words.
coming into your room
For 7 years.
since you were a 6-year-old child.
To 13. Now, that's what he admitted to doing.
That's what he admitted.
Yeah, he admitted to coming in from age 6 to age 13, upwards of 10 times outside of clothes, without clothes. Never progressed past touching.
All of this he had kind of admitted in the Granada Institute while in a place he felt safe.
Yeah. He probably, sorry, I got my water. He probably felt that those files were medical, like talking to a GP maybe.
Yes, yeah. And they possibly would have been had the judge not allowed the officer to get them under warrant, and had they not been destroyed, because I'm sure it felt like a medical environment.
He trusted it. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm Nicola Tallant, and you're watching Crime World, a podcast about criminals, drugs and the underworld in Ireland and across the globe. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you can be the first to watch all our latest episodes. You can also listen wherever you get your podcasts.